Let's talk about the Chiefs dealing with several injuries at the wide receiver position, including one that could be a longer-term recovery, Patrick Mahomes speaking on getting paid once again, the Bears defensive coordinator unexpectedly resigning after the FBI reportedly raided his house, and much freaking more. But first, how about those? First up, let's talk injuries, because there has been quite a few added to the list. Andy Reid stepped up to the podium today and said that Richie James is dealing with an MCL injury. Running back Isaiah Pacheco has a hamstring contusion, but noted it's not a tear. Kadarius Toney sprained his toe, which I'm going to presume to be a turf toe injury of sorts, I think. I'm no doctor, but I saw his foot get wrapped up at some point during the game, and he had a limp after at least a couple of plays in the game against the Jags. Andy then noted that linebacker Nick Bolton had a sprained ankle and Willie Gay has a quad contusion. However, both Nick and Willie did the walkthrough, although they didn't practice today. And if you look at the injury report, it all lines up. Bolton, Gay, Richie James, Pacheco, and Toney all didn't participate in today's practice. The only limited participant was L'Jarius Sneed. Nick Jones was a full go, but the other two new additions were Jawan Taylor, shoulder, and Justin Watson, ankle, though they were also both a full go at practice. So you have 3 of the Chiefs' 7 wide receivers on there, and therefore it's probably a good thing that the Chiefs are rolling with 7 wide receivers on their 53-man roster for now. Might be Rashee rise time sooner rather than later. I would also assume Justin Ross sees an uptick in snaps as well. And then, if you didn't notice, Travis Kelce is off the injury report with no injury designation on his right knee, which is great news. Andy noted that most of these injuries are being monitored, and right now they are day-to-day, but Richie might possibly be a little bit longer than that. And I have no idea when Richie actually injured his knee. I thought maybe it was an awkward tackle that happened on a punt return where he kind of got folded in a weird way, but he was out there in one of the last plays of the game when Sky Moore caught that wide open catch up the sideline, basically sealing the game, though he took an awkward fall on that play there as well. So time will tell there with Richie, but that means somebody else is going to need to be returning punts, and I would assume that is Justin Watson, who returned punts in a pinch last season and did a good job, and still think he would get the nod over Sky Moore if he plays on Sunday. I know he's on the injury report, but I am encouraged that he was a full participant and in theory should be good to go for Sunday's game against Chicago. And speaking of the Bears, defensive back Josh Blackwell, hamstring was limited. Defensive back Eddie Jackson, foot didn't participate, though Matt Eberflus said things in his presser today that seemed positive for Jackson. Will he be a go this week? I'm not sure, but it's at least trending in an upward direction. Next up, wide receiver Darnell Mooney, knee was limited, and then offensive lineman Lucas Patrick was out sick for the day. And just last week, the Bears put another cornerback, Kyler Gordon, on IR, and then today did the same thing with their left tackle Braxton Jones due to a neck injury. They aren't sure if it's a season ender yet, as Bears head coach Eberflus noted that, quote, "We don't have timetables on it right now." And with their left tackle out, I think the Chiefs defense may be lining up like they're at a buffet and are going to absolutely feast this Sunday against the Bears. Justin Fields was sacked 4 times week 1 by the Packers and then sacked 6 times week 2 against the Bucs, and therefore I have a feeling that trend will be continuing week 3 against the Chiefs. A man who is very hungry to hit the quarterback, George Karlaftis, spoke to the media today, and he said he doesn't care if the offense or the defense is getting the light or the attention. He's just here to help the team win, point blank. That's all that matters. The defense is here to pick up the slack of the offense when they stall out at times, and the offense does the same when the defense can't make plays happen just the same. George said they are not even close where they want to be defensively, though the first 2 games has been a good start. He then said, quote, "Consistency is the truest measure of a good defense," spoken like a really nice fortune cookie. And then staying with the defense here, Trent McDuffie said he's very happy with the defense overall and how they've been competing. This is a defense that's young and hungry, and Spags has been calling some great plays for them, and they hope to keep things moving overall in an upwards direction. Last year, they were a much younger group and had to learn a ton, but with a season under their belt, they've grown a lot closer as a group, and all these guys are willing to come together and put in the work each and every day. McDuffie also said the game speed has slowed down a lot for him, and it's been very beneficial for him, and I will say McDuffie has been an absolute dog out there. He was the highest graded defender on the team outside of Chris Jones against the Jags, and also had the highest coverage grade by far out of every other defensive back out there. On the other side of the ball, while I mentioned Fields has been sacked 10 times, Mahomes has only been sacked once, even with 2 new tackles in Juwan Taylor and Donovan Smith, though we all know they have been flagged more times than ideal without a shadow of a doubt. Big Red said that Juwan Taylor's just got to work through it and get off the line quick, yes, but not too quick, so he doesn't get flagged. Quote, he's got to work on that. And speaking of Mahomes, the man who just got quite the pay raise spoke on that restructured contract today briefly, saying he's in a great spot with a lot of great people around him and is very thankful to the Hunt family and the Chiefs organization. He's grateful for the additional financial security and the pay bump and is ready to go back out there and play some football and help this team win. He complimented the communication between everyone, his agent, the Chiefs front office, Andy Reid, etc., to help find the right spot to where he can get paid and keep the QB market going, but at the same time, keep a lot of great dudes around him and cap space available for other guys to get signed as well. This is something he's going to aim to do his entire career. Keep himself fairly compensated, yes, but also leave room for the team to keep players around him. And time will tell there with how things look after this season. Can they keep Chris Jones around? That still remains to be seen. He also mentioned something interesting next, and he hinted at it just previously as I was talking about it, but he said, quote, I don't want people to be negotiated against me. He wants to keep the market moving in the right direction so other players around the league can get paid the money that they deserve. And that makes complete sense because there were way less talented quarterbacks making way more money than him on an average yearly basis. So teams could potentially use that as a way to underpay their QBs or other players in the future if Mahomes stayed down that low. So he didn't want to do that. And that is an interesting thought and perspective. Mahomes then moved on from the contract, talking about the offense needing to get into a better rhythm. And when they do that, you'll see players like MVS and others get more involved. Basically, their inability to get drives going affected the overall production for everyone so far in the first 2 weeks. He noted that the defense is playing so well and they want to take some of that pressure off of them by putting together some productive drives. An obviously bigger part of their offensive production is Travis Kelce, who was noticeably chippy off and on all game long with Jags defenders during the game and especially afterwards, jawing and saying who knows what, to be honest. Andy said he's always been feisty and competitive as all get out, saying that Kelce put himself in a certain mindset in the game against the Jags because it was his return to a full NFL game after missing week 1. He was shaking off the rust and working back, battling through that injury. He went out with an attitude to get through the game, and anyone that was going to mess with him was going to get messed with back. Kelce even said in his podcast today that it took him the whole week to feel comfortable in how he was moving around without even having to think about it. He said he was going to play the game, though, the entire time, and there was never a question in his mind. He also admitted that he's got to remain calm in certain situations and not let his emotions get the best of him, saying that he did indeed throw off his helmet, and that's why he got that personal foul penalty called on him after the ball got punched out of Justin Watson's hand, arm, whatever, and that resulted in a fumble. So yeah, this has been a bit of a trend for Kelce this training camp and in his first game back, especially when it's super hot and humid out there, though I honestly don't expect that trend to continue much longer now that he's dating Taylor Swift.
His business, sure, and stay out of that world, but having said that, man, I think they're doing great, and I think it's all 100% true, and I hope that this soon goes a mile down, Joe.
I honestly have no idea if Jason was just trolling around here in this interview or what, but everybody's talking about it, so there you go. Something else everyone is talking about is the show continuing to go down in Chicago, as it was announced today that their defensive coordinator, Alan Williams, resigned. He said, quote, I am taking a step back to take care of my health and family. I appreciate the opportunity to work with the Chicago Bears, a storied NFL franchise with a rich history. This man is only 53 years old, so definitely unexpected. And there's a lot of reports surfacing, a lot of wild stuff going on, but he mentioned his plans is to come back and coach again after he addresses his health. So he makes it seem like it's health related. Is it mental health? Or something else, because he wasn't actually with the Bears week 2 against the Bucs. He stayed behind and didn't travel with the team, which honestly probably isn't the biggest of deals, at least in the short term, considering Matt Eberflus is a defensive-minded head coach, although his resignation is a bit more problematic for the Bears long term. And the reasons as to why Williams would resign so abruptly continued to be a huge topic of discussion, as earlier in the day, reports flooded out everywhere that the FBI raided his house and even Halas Hall, the headquarters of the Bears. However, updated reports suggested that the FBI did not raid Halas Hall and the league is not involved in the situation. And I'm sure details will eventually come to light, but I share all this to say there is a lot going on in Chicago with the team, who is 0-2 and struggling to find their identity. The Chiefs are currently like 13-point favorites, and while this could be a complete bloodbath, the Chiefs need to not take the Bears lightly and instead focus on a game with little to no mistakes, please and thank you. And with all that being said, what are your thoughts on this week's injury report, at least so far? Does it concern you that Kadarius Toney is once again injured? And what about the other two receivers, Watson, who did fully participate, but also Richie James, who we're not really sure how long is going to be out with the MCL injury? Let me know your thoughts on that in the comments down below. And until next time, let's go. Let's freaking go. How about those?